Okay, good morning students. I am S.K. Baliarsingh, PGT Economics of KVIN Chilka. Today we will be discussing one chapter of macroeconomics of class 12. It is aggregate demand and its component. According to Professor Keynes, equilibrium income, output and employment can be determined with the help of two components. One is aggregate demand and the other one is aggregate supply. Today we will discuss about aggregate demand and its component in details. Let us discuss what is the meaning of aggregate demand. Aggregate demand is nothing. It is the total demand for final goods and services of the economy in one financial year. In other words, it is the total expenditure made in the economy in 1 year. So aggregate demand AD is equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus N, where C stands for consumption expenditure made by the household, I stands for investment expenditure made by the producer or firm, and G is government expenditure. Government is spending lot of money for various public utility activities. This expenditure is included in G. And this is your net export. Net export is the difference between export of a country and its import. So if you add consumption expenditure, investment expenditure, government expenditure and net export, that is your aggregate demand or total expenditure made in the economy on various final goods and services. In Keynes theory is a two-sector model where consumer and producers are taken. So in Keynesian model, aggregate demand is equal to consumption expenditure plus investment expenditure. C is the consumption expenditure of the household, expenditure made by the household on various items. It may be durable goods, it may be semi-durable goods, or it may be non-durable or perishable goods. And I stands for investment expenditure. I mean, it is the expenditure made by the firm, it is the expenditure made by the producer on capital goods. That is your I. So AD is equal to consumption expenditure plus investment expenditure in Keynesian theory. So what is C? The consumption expenditure C is equal to C0 plus By. The consumption expenditure you see, it is having two parts. One is autonomous consumption, another one is induced consumption. So total consumption expenditure is the sum of autonomous consumption plus induced consumption. What is autonomous consumption? It is the consumption made by the household on the minimum goods and services required for their self-existence. I mean, in other words, it is the expenditure even at zero level of income. So expenditure at the zero level of expenditure is called as autonomous consumption. Like expenditure like house rent, expenditure on food which are minimum required by the consumers, expenditure on medicines which are highly essential. So these are all included in autonomous consumption. It is not depending on the level of income. It does not change with the changing level of income. It is independent of change of income. On the other hand, By is induced consumption, where B is equal to MPC, marginal propensity to consume. I mean it is delta C by delta Y. Change in consumption expenditure by change in income. When income changes, consumption also changes. So the ratio between change in consumption and change in income is called as MPC. In other words, MPC is the rate at which consumption changes with the change in income. That is your MPC. If you multiply MPC with the level of income, that gives you induced consumption. This induced consumption depends on the level of income, whereas the autonomous consumption does not depend on the level of income. With the change in level of income, there is no effect, there is no change on autonomous consumption. But with the increase in income, induced consumption increases. You can understand the concept of autonomous consumption and this induced consumption with the following example. You see here, this is the income and this is the consumption. At zero level of income, consumption is 50. So autonomous consumption is that consumption which is at zero level of consumption, at zero level of income, at zero level of income, at zero level of income the consumption is 50. So autonomous consumption is 50. It remains constant. It does not change with the increase in income. But here you find BY is induced consumption. So here it is 0. Now it is 50 because 50 plus 50 equal to 100. Here 50 plus 0 is equal to 50. Here you see 50 plus 100 is 150. Here it is 200 like this. Like this. So autonomous consumption remains same, but induced consumption is rising. With the increase in income, induced consumption is rising. The induced consumption is directly related to level of income of the consumer. So this is what the concept of consumption expenditure. This can be graphically presented also. Here you see income is taken on the x-axis and consumption is taken on the y-axis. In the graph you see at zero income consumption is 50. Similarly at 100 level of income consumption is 100. And here 200 it is 150. Like this we are drawing the consumption curve. CC is the consumption curve which is positively sloped from left to right. In this consumption curve, this is your autonomous consumption. 50 is the autonomous consumption. 50 is the autonomous consumption. It does not change with the change in income. It remains constant. And this gap, this is your BY. This is your BY. I mean induced consumption. As income rises, as income increases, this induced consumption is rising. So induced consumption is depending on the level of income. And if you combine autonomous consumption plus induced consumption, autonomous consumption plus induced consumption, autonomous plus induced, you are getting the consumption curve. So consumption curve always starts from the y-axis. Consumption curve does not start from the origin. It does not start from the origin because at zero level of income, consumption is not zero. At zero level of income, there is consumption. Consumption is 50. That's why the consumption curve always starts from y-axis. And with increase in income, consumption curve is rising. Consumption is rising. So that's why consumption curve is positively sloped. So this is all about consumption. Now you see propensity to consume. Here it shows the relationship between consumption and income. According to Professor Keynes, consumption is a function of income and it is called as consumption function. So far Keynes' concept is concerned, Keynes stated that with the increase in income, consumption rises, but consumption rises at a lower rate. So what is the meaning of propensity to consume? It shows the relationship between consumption and income. Here we will be discussing two concepts. One is average propensity to consume, and second one is marginal propensity to consume. So what is average propensity to consume? It is the ratio between consumption and income. At a particular level of income, what is the consumption? The consumption income ratio is called as APC. So APC shows the average or the ratio of consumption and income. In the diagram, see your consumption curve. At this point, consumption is OC1, income is Y1. So APC C by Y, consumption by income, that is OC1 by Y1. Ratio between consumption and income. Similarly, at any point on the consumption curve, you can calculate APC by taking the ratio of consumption and income. So far Keynes concept is concerned, with the increase in income, APC decreases, because with increase in income, consumption increases at a lower rate. With the increase in income, consumption rises, but at a lower rate. So the ratio between consumption and income, what is called APC, decreases with the increase in income. The second concept is marginal propensity to consume. It is called MPC, marginal propensity to consume. It is the ratio between change in consumption and change in income. When income changes, consumption changes. So the ratio between change in consumption and change in income is called as marginal propensity to consume. In other words, MPC shows the rate at which consumption changes with the change in income. It is the slope of consumption curve. It is the slope of consumption curve. In the diagram you see here, income rises from OY1 to OY2. With the rise in income, consumption also rises from OC1 to OC2. So what is the change in consumption? C1, C2. What is the change in income? Y1, Y2. So MPC is equal to change in consumption delta C. So this is your delta C by change in income. This is your delta Y. I mean MPC is equal to C1, C2 divided by Y1, Y2. So what is the value of MPC? What is the maximum and minimum value of MPC? MPC is less than 1 and MPC is greater than 0. Why is MPC is less than 1? Because when consumption rises with the rise in income, but consumption rises at a lower rate. If consumption rises at a lower rate than the rise in income, MPC will be less than 1. That means delta C is less than delta Y. So this is what Keynes' law of consumption. Keynes' psychological law of consumption. According to Keynes' psychological law of consumption changes at a lower rate than the change in income. So it must be less than 1. MPC is greater than 0. Why MPC is greater than 0? Because consumption changes. Consumption is not constant. Consumption increases with the increase in income. If consumption does not change with the increase in income, then MPC will be 0. If delta C is 0 with rise in delta Y, when income changes but consumption is 0, in that situation MPC will be 0. But it is against of the law of Keynes' psychological law of consumption. According to Keynes, if income rises, consumption rises. Consumption cannot be, delta C cannot be 0. So MPC is always greater than 0. So this is what the concept of ATC and NPC. Now we will be discussing about, after discussing the various components of consumption expenditure. Now you know AD is equal to C plus R. Consumption expenditure plus investment expenditure. For example, so this is your schedule. Consumption income schedule. Here, let investment is I. Let it is 100. Let it is 100. Let it is 100. In Keynes theory, I is investment, but Keynes considered it is autonomous investment. There are two types of investment. Investment means expenditure made by the producer on capital goods. There are two types of investment: autonomous investment and induced investment. The autonomous investment is not depending on profit. It is not related to income, but induced investment is related to profit. It is income elastic. It is depending on income, but in Keynesian theory, I is your autonomous investment. It is independent of income. It is independent of profit. That's why it remains constant. Generally, autonomous investment is made by the government. Here it is remaining same. You see the table. It is remaining same. Now what is AD? AD is equal to C plus R. Consumption expenditure plus investment expenditure. Now you combine. So this is 150. This is 200. This is 250. This is 300. This is 350. And this is 400. So this is aggregate demand. It is the sum of consumption expenditure plus investment expenditure. The aggregate demand can be graphically presented. It can be graphically presented. So here the income on the x-axis and consumption investment on the y-axis. You see, this is your investment. This is your investment. What type of investment? Induced, autonomous investment. It does not change with the change in income. It is parallel to x-axis. This means there is no change in investment with the change in income. And this type of investment is called as autonomous. In Keynesian theory, investment is taken by Keynes is autonomous, which is mainly made by the government. And here, this is the consumption curve, C. Consumption curve always starts from the y-axis, not from the zero, not from the origin. Now you combine consumption plus investment. This is the consumption expenditure, this is the investment expenditure. You are getting AD. So this is your AD. This is your aggregate demand. AD is equal to C plus I. AD is equal to C plus I. How can you derive AD? Consumption expenditure plus investment expenditure equal to aggregate demand. Similarly, this is your consumption, this is investment. You are getting aggregate demand. So this is what aggregate demand is. That is consumption expenditure plus investment expenditure. This is all about the concept of aggregate demand. Now, here one more concept we will discuss here. After discussing the concept of aggregate demand, one more concept we will be discussing here, that is saving function. Saving function. Saving function. Saving function, you know, saving is the part of income which is not consumed. In other words, it is the difference between income and consumption. Saving function is expressed as S equal to f of y. Saving is depending on income. With the increase in income, saving increases. With the decrease in income, saving decreases. So the saving function S is equal to y minus c. Here you know c, that is your c0 plus dy. So y is equal to minus c0 minus dy minus c0 plus y minus dy. So s equal to minus c0 plus 1 minus dy. So this is your saving function. This is your saving function. Here this is autonomous consumption. 1 minus b is your MPS. This is your MPS, marginal propensity to save. Marginal propensity to save. It is the ratio between change in saving to change in income. Delta S by delta Y. Now we will be discussing propensity to save. That is relationship between saving and income. There are two propensity to save. There are two concepts here. Propensity to save. One is average propensity to save. Average propensity to save. That is your APS. It is the ratio between saving and income. It is the ratio between saving and income. At a particular level of income, what is the saving? The ratio between that saving and income is called as average propensity to save. The second one, marginal propensity to save. That is your MPS. It is the ratio between change in saving to change in income. When income changes, saving changes. So the ratio between change in saving and change in income is called as marginal propensity to save. Now, what is the relationship between APC and APS? Already we have discussed what is the meaning of APC and APS. Now we will be establishing the relationship between APC and APS. You know, income is C plus S, which means that a part of the